If I could go back to the moment my daughter was born and whisper 11 things to myself, things that would have saved me from months of unnecessary stress and given her a better foundation for life, these would be them. I learned these lessons the hard way, through mistakes, through research, through watching what actually worked versus what everyone told me would work. My daughter is now 3, and looking back, I can see so clearly which things mattered and which things I wasted energy worrying about. The 7th lesson completely changed how I understood tantrums and transformed our relationship. These aren't the fluffy tips you hear everywhere. If you have a child under 3 or you're about to become a parent, hit that like button and subscribe right now, because these 11 lessons could save you years of unnecessary struggle and give your child the best possible start. The first lesson is that you cannot spoil a baby with too much love and attention. I spent so much time worrying that if I picked up my crying baby every time, if I held her too much, if I responded too quickly to her needs, I'd create a dependent, spoiled child. That's a myth that needs to die. The research on attachment is crystal clear. Babies whose needs are met consistently and quickly develop secure attachment, and secure attachment is the foundation for everything. It creates confident, independent children who feel safe enough to explore because they trust their caregiver will be there. You're not spoiling them, you're building their sense of security and trust in the world. The second lesson is that the first 3 years are the most critical period of brain development in your child's entire life. 700 neural connections are forming every second. Every interaction, every word spoken to them, every experience is literally wiring their brain. This isn't about pressure to make every moment educational. It's about understanding that your presence, your responsiveness, and your conversations with them matter more than any expensive toy or program. Talk to them constantly, respond to their babbles, make eye contact, and be present. That's what builds their brain. The third lesson is that sleep is non-negotiable for development, and I wish I'd taken it more seriously from the start. When toddlers don't get enough sleep, it affects everything. Their behavior, their learning, their emotional regulation, their physical health. I was so casual about bedtime and nap schedules, thinking kids would sleep when they're tired. But consistent sleep routines and protecting those sleep hours is one of the most important things you can do for your child's development. The fourth lesson is that discipline isn't about punishment, it's about teaching. Toddlers under 3 don't have tantrums to manipulate you. Their prefrontal cortex isn't developed enough for that kind of strategic thinking. They're overwhelmed, they can't communicate what they need, and they don't have the skills to regulate yet. When you respond with connection and teaching instead of punishment, you're building the actual skills they need. Timeouts don't teach emotional regulation. Your calm presence and guidance do. The fifth lesson, and this one surprised me, is that boredom is actually good for development. I felt like I needed to constantly entertain my daughter, provide stimulation, and fill every moment with activity. But unstructured time where children have to figure out what to do with themselves builds creativity, problem solving, and independence. Let your child be bored sometimes. Don't rush to fix it. That's when their brain learns to entertain itself and think creatively. If you want real parenting wisdom that actually works, subscribe and turn on notifications, because we share what research shows matters, not what's trendy. The sixth lesson is that comparison is the enemy of good parenting. I tortured myself comparing my daughter's development to other kids. She walked later, talked later, and I was constantly worried something was wrong. But developmental timelines vary enormously, and comparison creates unnecessary anxiety for you and pressure for your child. Unless there's a genuine concern your pediatrician identifies, trust your child's individual timeline. Some skills come early, some come late, and it all evens out. The seventh lesson changed everything for me, and it's that connection must come before correction. When your toddler is having a meltdown or misbehaving, their thinking brain is offline. They're in fight or flight mode. Trying to teach them or discipline them in that moment doesn't work because they literally cannot process it. What they need first is your calm presence to help them regulate. Once they're calm, then you can address what happened and teach better choices. This shifted our entire dynamic from constant battles to cooperation. Comment below and tell me which of these lessons resonates most with you so far. I want to know what's landing. The eighth lesson is that your child is always watching and learning from you, not from your words. I could tell my daughter to be patient, but if I were constantly impatient, she learned impatience. I could tell her to be kind, but if I spoke harshly, she learned harshness. Modeling the behavior you want to see is infinitely more powerful than lecturing about it. Your actions are their education. The ninth lesson is that these years go faster than you can imagine. Everyone told me this, and I didn't believe them because the days felt so long. But they were right. My daughter is past 3 now, and I would give anything to go back and be more present, to worry less about the mess and the milestones, and just soak up more of who she was at each stage. Put the phone down more, take more videos, be there more fully. You can't get this time back. The 10th lesson is that you don't need expensive things to raise smart, happy kids. I wasted so much money on educational toys, programs, and subscriptions. You know what actually matters. Conversation, reading together, unstructured play, time in nature, and secure attachment. Your presence and interaction are worth more than anything you can buy. Save your money and invest your time instead. The 11th lesson, and this is the one I wish I'd understood from day one, is that taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. I ran myself into the ground trying to be the perfect parent, and all it did was make me exhausted and resentful. Your child doesn't need a perfect parent. They need a parent who's rested enough, regulated enough, and supported enough to be present and patient. Taking care of yourself makes you a better parent. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. Here's what I want you to understand. These 11 lessons aren't about adding more to your overwhelmed plate. They're about focusing on what actually matters and letting go of what doesn't. You don't need to do everything perfectly. You just need to be responsive, present, consistent, and kind. That's what builds healthy, happy, well-adjusted children. Looking back at the first 3 years with my daughter, the moments I remember aren't the perfect Instagram-worthy ones. They're the messy, ordinary moments where we connected. The bedtime snuggles, the silly conversations, the times I sat with her through a meltdown instead of trying to stop it. Those moments built our relationship and our sense of security in ways I didn't even realize at the time. If I could go back, I'd worry less about milestones and more about connection. I'd stress less about getting it right and focus more on being present. I'd ask for help sooner and take care of myself better. These 3 years are intense and exhausting, but they're also precious and fleeting. The foundation you're building right now shapes everything that comes after. These 11 lessons aren't just about raising a well-behaved child. They're about raising a child who feels secure, loved, and capable. A child who trusts you, trusts themselves, and trusts the world. That's what the first 3 years are really about. Not perfect behavior or impressive milestones, but building that unshakable foundation of secure attachment and healthy development. If these 11 lessons resonated with you or opened your eyes to something you needed to hear, please share this video with another parent, especially one who's in the thick of those first 3 years right now. Drop a comment and tell me which lesson hit home hardest for you, or share a lesson you learned that you wish you'd known earlier. Let's support each other with real wisdom, not just advice. And make sure you're subscribed because we're building a community of parents who focus on what actually matters, backed by research and real experience, not just trends and pressure. Thank you for being here and for caring enough about these early years to invest in learning what truly makes a difference. Your child is lucky to have a parent who's willing to learn and grow alongside them.